Welcome back. You are watching Global Eye. Luxury automaker and aero engineering major Rolls-Royce cashed in on a huge order from Air India this year. It's the first one since 2005. The 40 Airbus A350s will be powered by Rolls-Royce jet engines. Speaking to me earlier today, the company's Director of Engineering and Technology, Simon Burr, gave a timeline of when the deliveries for the order will begin. He also spoke about the company's sustainability plans and key priorities it has for the India market. Listen in.
So for Rolls-Royce, we have a number of relationships in India. Actually, they go right back to the 1950s, where we first started building engines in India. Our priorities for this year are to get the A350 into service with Air India. It's a massive milestone for us, and continue to develop our long relationship in India with our suppliers and partners. And also on the defence side, where we support a number of aircraft with the Indian Armed Services. And also, we have strong relationships on diesel engines with Indian partners. So we've got a great number of relationships in India which go back over decades, and we're very proud of those.
Right. How significant is the Air India order for Rolls-Royce? What are the delivery timelines like?
So the first aircraft should be delivered this year, and Air India can really look forward to a tremendous aircraft. The A350 is a wonderful aeroplane, and we supply the engine for that. The Trent XWB-84 has been in service since 2015, an incredibly reliable and quiet and fuel-efficient engine. So the experience for customers of Air India will be amazing, really, with that aeroplane, and that's our priority, to get that, support that aircraft going into service later this year.
Right. We've been seeing a lot of supply chain issues with Pratt & Whitney engines, and there have been supply chain issues with aircraft globally. How have things been for Rolls-Royce, and what are some of the steps that you're taking to overcome those supply chain hurdles?
Yeah, as we've come out of the COVID period, the supply chain has been stretched in aerospace. Some employees in different companies retired, and so companies have had to hire again. So far, we've managed pretty well. There are challenges. I'm not going to pretend there's not challenges, and so every day we have to work very, very diligently. But we are making good progress. The number of engines we're delivering is growing, and we're able to support our customers. But there'll be stresses at least well into next year.
Right. Now, when it comes to manufacturing in India or setting up a base in India, what are some of the steps that you're taking in that direction to move more supply chains to India, to source more from the India market?
So there's two ways that Rolls-Royce source work in India. One is through manufacturing, and we actually have a joint venture in India, certainly for aerospace, which is very successful, IAMPL, and that's expanding. And we also use a tremendous number of very talented Indian engineers in partnership. We've got our own Rolls-Royce India employees, but we also have partnerships. It amounts to several thousand engineers. So there's the technical side and also manufacturing. And we've seen expansion. The capability of the Indian market is tremendous, and we see opportunities for expansion there over coming years.
Right. I'd like to ask you about Rolls-Royce focus on sustainability. What is the roadmap that you're taking towards decarbonization, towards net zero goals?
So if we think about in aerospace, where people fly, so familiar with that, Rolls-Royce has got basically three legs. The first one is to make jet engines more efficient, and you've heard about our UltraFan, the world's most advanced efficient engine, which ran this year. The second one is sustainable fuel, so not using fossil fuels, but fuels from sustainable sources. And the third leg is alternative means of power and so on, electrical, hydrogen, and we've been investing in that as well. So all of those things come together in our journey on sustainability.
Right. Now, a lot of work is being done on alternate fuels, including green hydrogen. What are some of the investments? If we were to ask you about how Rolls-Royce is prioritizing its investments towards alternate fuels, sustainable fuels for the future, how would you prioritize or categorize your investments in order of importance?
So the biggest single investment in the company is in making our jet engines, more efficient and durable, because that helps burn less fuel. But we've made huge efforts over the last 3-4 years to show that our engines can run on sustainable fuel, 100%. So no fossils, 100% sustainable fuel. And in fact, excitingly, later this year, we will power an aircraft crossing the Atlantic. With Virgin Atlantic, we're crossing the Atlantic with an aircraft 100% powered by sustainable fuels. So that's a big milestone. Last year, we also ran an engine on 100% gaseous hydrogen, and we are investing in testing our engines on hydrogen. So what we're trying to do is help governments and regulators invest and set parameters for investment with confidence that jet engines won't be a constraint on much bigger uptake of sustainable fuels.
Right. If I were to ask you, Simon, what kind of roadmap can India take towards adopting sustainable aviation fuels? What would be some of the best examples that India can emulate, and what is the road that can be taken towards sustainability in aviation in India?
So I think there are sort of three things. India is already producing some sustainable fuel, and so it's investment in that and increasing the investment. And really what we see around the world is, in some instances, governments are regulating to increase the percentage of sustainable fuels by airlines. And in other countries, there are tax incentives to make sure that oil companies and other experts can invest in this market. So it's a combination of either incentives through the tax system or regulation to drive investment. But investors need to see that the market is secure, and it will be there when they bring all these new investments to life, petrochemical works and so on. But it's happening. We see week by week people making investment choices, airlines, and also customers, passengers, asking operators, airlines, to do this. So we're seeing an increasing uptake, but it's from a low base. It's less than 1% worldwide today. And what we're doing in Rolls-Royce is making sure that one day it can be 100%.
Right. My final question to you would be once again about India. When it comes to future investments, future priorities for the India market, what would those be? How important is India for Rolls-Royce as a market globally?
It's hugely important. You know, we're enormously proud that Air India have selected the Airbus aircraft and Rolls-Royce engines for their part of their growth. We've powered the Indian Armed Forces, provided engines for them for decades, and we've been building engines in India since, as I said, since the 1950s. So it's a huge market. It's a growing market, and it's a very, very important market, not just for aero engines, but for our diesel engines and so on. So you'll continue to see growth and tremendous interest in that market. I've worked with engineers based in India for 20 years, and we wouldn't operate without them. So it's a very, very important market, and we're proud to operate there. And hopefully you'll see more growth in coming years.
All right, that was Simon Burr, Director of Civil Engines at Rolls-Royce. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Global Eye. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.